Hi, it's Maggie with Golden Lights Within, and I'm back with another video today. And today I wanted to talk about attention and how that can affect your health and well-being. And so this concept of attention, right? So we all probably heard where attention goes, energy flows, but again, it's one of these basic concepts that we hear about, but it's harder to put into practice. It's easier to say that, right? But if something frustrating comes up in your life, it's way easier to be like focused on it, talk to every single person you know about it, ruminate on it, all the things, right? That we just it's easier for us to do that than to be like, you know what? I'm going to think about, how I'm excited for this thing that's happening in the future, or, how much I love my dog, or, that I have this, amazing home that I get to live in and, healthy food on the table, right? It's easier to talk about than to actually do, especially when it's something that's very like worrisome to you or annoying or frustrating. But if we reframe that, I think this is what's helped me. It's like I have the choice. Like no one else is going inside my head and saying, Maggie, you need to put your attention on this like really negative thing and just ruminate on it for the next 48 hours and just be kind of suffering, right? No one can get in my head and do that. I can decide that I can change my attention to something better. And for whatever reason for me, and I wanted to share this because like that reframe for me, just when something like that comes up, it's like, okay, do I want this other person to dictate what's going on inside my head for the next 24 hours? Or, they don't really have that control. So at the end of the day, like I can say, you know what? I'm going to think of something better, right? Something that makes me feel happy and positive and is fun. Like I can shift that attention. And so I think that initial reframe has helped. And then I think from there, you start to just get in the habit of doing that. So I tie this into health and well-being, right? Because the mind and body influence each other, as I've talked about, and protecting your mind, protecting your peace is very important for your well-being and just showing up in the world in the way that you want. And usually that would be joyful, peaceful, free to, express yourself creatively and, be kind to other people. That's generally right what we all want for our lives. And so if we are continually putting ourselves, our attention in that mental prison, it's pretty much it almost feels impossible, right, to show up as the other way. So if we can work at just coming back to that, like, do I want this other person, this other situation inside my head and dictating that, or do I want to do that? Because at the end of the day, I have control, and that's where your energy will land. So you get to dictate that, and that is that power can be hard for us to handle sometimes, right? Because again, we want so badly to like sit in that, but again, we have that power. And so I just wanted to bring, this is not necessarily like a novel concept, however, it's extremely important to your health and well-being, and that's why I'm bringing it up. And it's definitely like not this linear thing where you're just like, okay, I'm going to make the decision that like every situation I'm going to perfectly handle this now and just switch to the better thought every time, right? It's like you kind of get on, you get on that track, and then maybe you fall back a little bit, then you get on it again until it becomes more consistent over time. But it's, we're human, and, it's not necessarily like going to be perfection. But if we're heading towards that trajectory more often than not, we're just going to feel better. And again, just that law of like, if you're putting out that positive energy more often, more positive things come to you. So there's a ripple effect with that, as well as, just when you feel so good inside and you have figured out a way to put yourself on the more positive path more often. So I hope that is helpful, and thanks for viewing this Golden Lights Within video.